BBC reported the prosecution files. They quote you as saying about the women who worked on your webcam business, I'm going to slave these bitches. I'm going to make them work even more hours and hours and hours. I work these bitches like slaves. Slave work, minimum 10 or 12 hours a day.
That is not true at all. That is about my ex-girlfriend cleaning my house.
Well, that's a lie. Here's the actual conversation Tristan claims was sent to Andrew and is about cleaning. In 2020, Tristan sent the following message to a woman named Naomi, where he said the following: mainly, I'm going to slave these bitches, and I don't want to write the MFC cam score. MFC is My Free Cams, by the way. It's a webcam site. So when they start not performing on MFC or stagnate after they're done video chatting, all the chips can be taken out of the room. Now, chips are tokens that customers pay to the models. He goes on to say, I'm going to change it and make them do more hours and hours and hours. I'm slaving these bitches. No, slave work, minimum 10 to 12 hours a day. So that conversation was definitely not sent to Andrew, and it's not about cleaning.
The problem is that in the context of what you've been accused of,
yes, the prosecutor can make it look bad.
This looks damning.
Of course, but what he doesn't do is he doesn't show the whole conversations to any judge. That is a carefully manipulated and edited and actually constructed conversation, as all of the conversations are.
All right, when this actually goes to trial, the judge will see the entire conversation. In the indictment, the prosecutor shows select parts of conversations to show elements of coercion, exploitation, fraud, threats of violence, their modus operandi, etc. And then the entire conversation will be shown during the trial. The indictment will also reference the volumes that each of the conversations is in. For example, the conversation where he's talking about slaving the bitches, that is in volume number 46 in their case files. So a judge will absolutely see this entire conversation.
The man speaking on the internet 10 years ago is not the man sitting and being interviewed by you today.
One of my main chicks has 200,000 Instagram followers, and I took her virginity when she was 17.
If I meet a girl who's a virgin, who's 19 years old, and she's sweet and innocent and beautiful, I'm happy to date her for a couple of weeks, however long it takes to take her virginity and end up sleeping with her. For me, that's much more fun than just banging 2 chicks a day or 3 chicks a day.
Me, I'll do 2 or 3 virgins a year. Now, how do you date a virgin when you're an ice cold player? There is a tactic which I'm going to share with you on how to date a virgin and how to take a girl's virginity.
You know, who I was when I was 25, I fancied myself a bit of a dating coach, used to give people advice on how to meet women and how to pick. That's not how I live now.
As I said, I kept a 3-month journal of all the beautiful women I fucked. I put details in, dates. It was a fucking very detailed diary, and half of them found that. One girl who particularly hates me. Now, I'm back with her now. She's back in my collection.
That's not how I live now. I don't think there's a problem with anything I've said, because I've never advocated for anything illegal. I've never advocated for any crime. I do not advocate for drugs. I do not advocate for violence.
I went to the room, smashed the room up, told her I knew what she did.
Tristan actually does advocate for violence. In fact, he picked up an additional charge for it, which is an additional charge for the incitement of violence. And the reason he has this is because in the verified chat conversations that he was having with Luana and Georgiana, the other 2 defendants that were charged, he specifically says, in regards to one of the victims that didn't want to work there anymore, he says, both of you go, get her out of the house, hit her if you have to, I don't care, don't let her take her things. And he goes on to say, when you kick her out, keep her stuff in Georgiana's car so Yasmina can't give it to her if she comes back later. Throw her out of the house with nothing. Georgiana, you've seen me do this 10 times. Go do it now. And there's an additional mention in the indictment where Romania had to reach out to the UK to see what was going on with her criminal history, and something that happened back in 2014. Tristan did get a restraining order put against him because he hit a woman.
I believe the screenshots you've seen are fake. One, absolutely. 2, I would say I'm a member of the War Room. The War Room has nothing to do with me. I'm just a War Room member like everybody else.
Tristan is actually a general in the War Room.
OnlyFans management is, and I teach this inside of the War Room.
If you want to learn from me, get in the War Room.
In volume 75 in their case files specifically mentions War Room content that has been extracted, translated, and transcribed.
Here. Webcam, the War Room.
All the people I know from the War Room are happily married men, guys with families, guys with kids, successful businessmen, people who run construction companies, real, honest, great people.
There are guys inside of the War Room who have, there's 2 young kids, 17 and 18 they are. This kid is so young, he couldn't legally post a picture of himself naked anywhere. And he has a bunch of 18, 19-year-old girlfriends, and he's wearing Rolex watches, cashing in $100,000 a month. And that is from what I teach.
One of the running themes is to get the woman to tattoo your name on herself.
Well, that's clearly not true.
Tattoos are actually called receipts inside of the war room. And in some of the chat rooms, they would actually brag and share their receipts. And those receipts are about how they would get women to tattoo their names on their bodies. And Andrew has even bragged about this in a couple of interviews.
20 girls have my name tattooed on them.
How many girls have your name on them now?
22. I got 20. I'm on 22. When a girl refuses to get a tattoo, I'm like, well, why? Why wouldn't? I thought you were serious.
And the Romanian prosecutor even went as far as saying, like 19th century slave owners who branded their slaves with a red iron, Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate, the defendants, branded their victims with tattoos indicating that they were the defendant's property.
Take over everything. No one's driving my cars but me. It's like my women. Put my name on them. For life. Boom. Done.
Of the 7 victims listed, how many of them were in any way related to any of the activities I did when I ran a webcam studio? The answer, Piers, you'd be surprised to know, is 0. None of these people who are alleged victims today have anything to do with the webcam studio. The old webcam studio and the current investigation have 0 strings in between them.
Technically, he's correct about his charges, but there is one victim in regards to Andrew's charges that are specifically about webcam, and her story starts with Andrew in 2016. But he did say investigation, so let's talk about that. They're both currently under investigation for additional human trafficking, and we don't know if that's for OnlyFans, for webcam, or for prostitution. And the reason I say prostitution is because Tristan is specifically under investigation for allegedly trafficking a minor into prostitution. So time will tell on this. But one thing that he does cleverly do when he's mentioning all of this, and he says the 7 victims don't have anything to do with webcam, and that's not true with at least one of them, but they do have everything to do about OnlyFans.
I still make money running an OnlyFans management agency, but I still run a very big business through OnlyFans.
The bulk of the case is about how they traffic women into pornography, and most of that revolves around OnlyFans.
Tristan Tate, thank you.
It's been a pleasure.